Hello. Welcome to FSS training for ServicePoint. We will be going through all the steps to enter one client into your FSS program into ServicePoint, from project entry to project exit. The Family Self-Sufficiency Program helps families increase their earned income and reduce their dependency on welfare assistance and rental subsidies. Low-income families are given opportunities for education, job training, counseling and other forms of social service assistance while living in assisted housing, so they can obtain the skills necessary to become self-sufficient. The program is HUD-funded, but services are provided through local partnerships in the community. For more information, view HUD.gov. Let's talk about data quality. 1. Always use the backdate mode anytime you're entering data on a different date than the date it was collected. 2. Always EDA into the correct program. You do not have to do this if the FSS program is your default program. 3. Update the Households tab before the Entry/Exit tab. If you are working with a household, make sure the family members and their relationships are listed accurately before you put them into the program. 4. Answer and update all questions on the 3 assessments. For the UDE assessment, make sure you answer all questions in bold type. For the PSDE assessment, all of the HUD verification sub-assessments must have green check marks next to them and income details must be counted and updated correctly. For the FSS custom assessment, you must answer employment start date, end date, placement verification date, and retention dates and complete interim reviews for each of these. Here is your data entry workflow for FSS. First, you will backdate and EDA into the correct Family Self-Sufficiency Program on the dashboard. Then, you will go to Client Point to search for or create the client record. Then, if you are serving a household, you will go to the Households tab. If your client came into the program alone, you may skip step 3. After that, you will create an entry into the program on the Entry/Exit tab. Your EE type for FSS is basic. On the entry, you will answer 3 assessments, the UDEs, or Universal Data Elements, the PSDEs or Program-Specific Data Elements, and the FSS Custom Assessment. Step 6 is entering any services that you want to record for FSS, on the Service Transactions tab. You will do an interim review to capture any changes that take place during the program. These changes could be for income, benefits received, or employment information, for example. Finally, you will exit the client from the program. Okay, let's get started. Log on to ServicePoint. Select Enter Data As at the top right of your screen to indicate that you are entering data for FSS. If FSS is your default provider, you may skip this step. Search for FSS or the provider ID number and find FSS program listed in the provider search results. Then, click the green plus next to the FSS program. All FSS programs have FSS in the title. Our next step is to backdate to the date that the data was collected. Select Backdate on the top right of your screen. Enter the date that the data you are going to enter was collected, whether it is an entry, interim, service or exit. You may leave the time at midnight. Click Set Backdate. Your screen will turn yellow when you are in backdate mode. Now your dashboard is ready for data entry. The next step is to go to Client Point. Fill out the data fields for your client. If you already know the client ID number, you may enter it at the bottom instead. Do not select Exact Match, so you pull as many similar records as you can. You will see a list of similar client records populate at the bottom. Check the list to find your client. If you do not find your client, select Add New Client with this information to create a new client record. Now I am on the client record screen. By clicking Add New Client with this information, a client ID number was created and now appears at the top of the screen, in parentheses next to the client name. Mine is client ID number 15. Write this number down on your intake form so you can remember it and use it later. If the client is being served in a household, the next step is to go to the Households tab. To learn how to use the Households tab, please view the Households tutorial video. Okay, now we have completed the first 3 steps. To learn how to use the Households tab, please view the Households tutorial video. Our next step is to do the client entry. Go to the Entry Exit tab. You might see data from another program here. Click Add Entry Exit to put the client into your program. On the next screen, make sure you select the household members who enter the FSS program. If it is a single, do not select any other household members. Because we used backdate and EDA, the only other thing we need to worry about on this screen is EE type. Select Basic Type from the drop-down menu. Then, click Save and Continue. You can now see the 3 assessments listed at the top, and the household members listed at the left. You need to fill out each assessment for each household member. I have 3 assessments and 2 household members, so I need to do 6 things. Start with the UDE assessment. Then, do the PSDE assessment. Finally, complete the FSS custom assessment. To learn how to enter data for the UDEs, please view the UDEs data entry video. To learn how to enter data for the PSDEs, please view the PSDEs data entry video. After you have completed both of these assessments for each of your household members, you will have green checks on them. Select the FSS custom assessment. Answer the questions for education, FSS tier status, % of the federal poverty level, other family characteristics and housing, by selecting the correct option from the drop-down menu. It is important that you communicate with your program director to learn more about best practices for this custom assessment. Then, if you have employment data for the client, add employment data. Click Add in the Employment Placement Sub-Assessment. If the client was employed in the past, you may enter the start date, end date and employer here. For now, we will leave the other fields blank, since this is the entry, and the client is not currently employed. Click Save when you are done. Then, answer the self-sufficient question. You should do the custom assessment for the additional household members as well. We have now completed steps 4 and 5, the entry into the program. If you need to capture service data for the program, such as case management, transportation, or driver's licenses, You can now enter the services by using the Service Transactions tab. Communicate with your program director to learn how your program utilizes services, and, to learn how to enter data for services, please view the services tutorial video. Our next step is to do an interim review. You will do an interim review anytime data changes during the program. This could mean a change to income or benefits or a change in employment status. If you are not entering data on the date that it became effective, you will need to backdate to the correct date that the data changed. We don't want to change data from the entry, and we don't want to exit the client either, and that is why we use interims. Interims allow the data to tell the whole story of the client, from program start to finish. I will show you two interims. First, let's say that the client got a job. Once you are on the client record, go to the Entry Exit tab. Find the FSS program line item and click the Interims icon to the right of the exit pencil. Click Add Interim Review. Select the appropriate household members and the interim review type. If it is an interim review because data changed, you may select Update. If the client has been in the program for a year and you are doing an annual assessment of the data, you may select Annual Assessment. For FSS, there are 3 reasons you will need to do an interim review. You need to do an interim anytime data changes, you need to do an interim 45 days after the client starts a job, and you need to do an interim 60 days after a client starts a job. Click Save and Continue. On an interim, you need to update any data that has changed, whether it is on the UDE, PSDE, or the custom assessment. First, make any changes to the PSDEs. To learn how to make changes to PSDE data, such as income, non-cash benefits, and disabilities, please view the Interims tutorial video. Now, we will go right to the FSS custom assessment because the client got a job. In the FSS custom assessment, as with the other assessments, you will see the data you already entered on the entry. Data in ServicePoint always pulls forward, so that if it has not changed, you do not have to enter it again. On an interim, you will verify that everything that has been entered is still true, and if it is not, you must update it. For example, if the client's housing changed, or if the client's new job changed his FPL%, you need to change that here. Now, let's add the new job. Click Add in the Employment Placement Sub-Assessment. Enter the date that the job started and enter the employer. Enter the date the placement was verified. Now, select the employment upgrade type. Since the client just got the job, it is an increase in wages. Click Save. On an interim review, you may change the self-sufficient question from no to yes. Click Save and exit once you have all the updates. This screen shows you the interim you just created. Clicking on the pencil would get you back to the data if you made a mistake or want to change something. For now, we will click Exit. Back at the Entry Exit tab, you can see a blue number 1 on the Interims icon, showing that there has been one interim completed for this client. Now I will show you another interim. Here is a different client who entered the program on September 1st. From the Entry Exit tab, select the Interims icon. You can see the first interim here. we must verify his employment 45 days after he started the job. This client got a job on September 10th, so we must do an interim on October 25th. We do not want to add an additional job. We want to update the existing job record, so we will click the pencil. To verify employment, we will answer the question still employed after 45 days. If it was an interim for the 60-day review, we would answer the question, still employed after 60 days. But, for now, we will leave that blank. When you verify that the client has retained employment, answer this question. You should also do an interim if the client gets a raise or a promotion. For this change, you would update the question, employment upgrade type. You may also put in the upgrade verification completed date on an interim review. Click Save when you are done. Then, click Save and exit. Here is the second interview you completed. And now, the interim review icon next to the FSS program at the top has a number 2 next to it because we have completed 2 interim reviews for the client. Any date that something changes, you need to complete an interim review. So, a client may have many interim reviews. Now I have shown you how to do interim reviews. If you need to learn how to enter services for the program, please view the services tutorial. Our last step will be exiting the client out of the program. To exit the client, first backdate to the date of exit. Go to the Entry Exit tab. Find the correct program line item. You should have an entry date and interim data already there, but no date for the exit. Click the pencil next to the exit date to create the exit. Select the people who are exiting. Select the reason for leaving. If the client has retained a job and is now self-sufficient, your reason for leaving is completed program. Select the correct exit destination from the drop-down menu. Click Save and Continue. You will land on the PSDE sub-assessment. You may have income, non-cash benefits, health insurance, and disabilities dates still open on the exit. That is okay. You do not have to end date them if they don't end for the client. The client is leaving your program, but he is taking all of those things with him. Reports look at data from program entry to program exit, and it is important that all of these things are counted on the exit. If something has changed, then you need to update it. When you are done, click Save. Now, open the FSS assessment. Make any appropriate changes on the exit and click Save and Exit. If the client was placed at a job, retained a job and attained a job upgrade, you will see those dates here. If the client did not get placed in a job, was not able to keep the job or did not attain a job upgrade, you will not see dates here. Now you have an exit date listed for your program line item. Thank you for watching the training. If you have any questions, please visit our website.